They didn't talk about the kiss right away. That was the rule they fell into without saying it out loud. It happened after practice, late enough that the locker rooms were nearly empty, and the air still smelled faintly of grass and sweat. Elara lingered by the exit, bag slung over her shoulder, clearly debating whether to leave without acknowledging what now sat between them. Vera noticed. "You're doing it again," she said. Elara turned slowly. "Doing what?" "Running. I'm setting boundaries." Vera huffed a quiet laugh. "Funny, because it feels like avoidance." Elara crossed her arms, grounding herself. "Whatever this is, it can't interfere. Not with class, not with football, and definitely not with our teams." Vera studied her face. Serious, controlled, terrified. "Okay," Vera said. "Then let's make it simple." Elara frowned. "Simple how?" Vera stepped closer, but stopped herself short this time. Deliberate restraint. "We don't talk about it, we don't do this." She gestured vaguely between them. "In public. And the second either of us says stop, it stops." Elara hesitated. "That's it?" Vera tilted her head. "Temporary. No expectations, no promises." Elara should have said no. Instead, she said, "This is a bad idea." Vera smiled faintly. "You're still here." Silence stretched. Then Elara nodded once. "Temporary." "Temporary," Vera echoed. They shook on it, brief, almost formal. Neither of them mentioned the way Vera's thumb lingered a fraction too long against Elara's wrist. The arrangement didn't make things easier. If anything, it made everything sharper. They didn't sit together in class, but Vera passed Elara notes anyway. Not jokes, not insults, questions, real ones. Elara answered them in the margins, pretending her heart didn't race every time she recognized Vera's handwriting. On the field, they played like nothing had changed. Off it, they met in quiet corners and empty rooms, pretending the rules made it safe. It was always Vera who broke first, stepping too close, brushing fingers, murmuring something low enough that it felt like a secret meant only for Elara, and it was always Elara who let her. "This doesn't mean anything," Elara reminded her one night, voice barely above a whisper. Vera leaned against the wall beside her, close but not touching. "Of course not." They kissed anyway, soft, familiar now, dangerous. Every time, Elara told herself this was controlled, contained. Every time, Vera left wondering how long temporary could survive the way Elara looked at her when she thought no one was watching. Neither of them said it out loud. But somewhere between the rules and the quiet, both of them knew. Temporary was already slipping through their fingers. The first rule to break was distance. It happened in the library, of course it did. Late evening, most students gone, the quiet thick enough to feel like pressure. They were supposed to be working. Laptops open, notes spread between them. They weren't touching. That was the lie. Vera leaned over Elara's shoulder to read something on her screen, close enough that Elara could feel her warmth, could smell her shampoo. Elara didn't move away, didn't tell her to step back. "You're distracted," Vera murmured. "I'm working," Elara replied too quickly. Vera smiled. "Sure you are." Elara closed the laptop with a sharp click. "This wasn't supposed to be like this." Vera tilted her head. "Like what?" "Like I'm thinking about you and I shouldn't be," Elara said. "Like I'm waiting for you to show up." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Vera froze. "That doesn't sound temporary," she said softly. Elara stood abruptly. "We said no expectations." "And I agreed," Vera replied. "I didn't say I was good at lying to myself." That night, they kissed longer than usual. No one said stop. The second rule to break was secrecy. People started noticing. Vera stopped flirting with anyone else. Elara stopped sitting with Maya. Their attention bent toward each other in small, unconscious ways. Glances held too long, bodies angling closer without realizing it. At practice, a teammate nudged Vera. "You okay? You've been staring at Northside's captain like she stole your lunch." Vera snapped, "Focus." Elara's team noticed too. "You're playing different," her vice captain said. "More reckless." Elara shook her head. I'm fine. She wasn't. The third rule shattered completely after a match neither of them could afford to lose. They were tied in the final minutes. Tempers flared. The crowd was loud enough to drown thought. Vera tackled Elara hard, too hard. Elara shoved her back. The referee blew the whistle as they stood chest to chest, fury flashing, something deeper burning underneath it. "You're off your game," Vera muttered. "So are you," Elara snapped. "This is why this was a mistake." The words cut deeper than either of them expected. After the match, Vera didn't wait. She found Elara in the tunnel, grabbed her wrist, and pulled her into an empty equipment room, door slamming shut behind them. "You don't get to call me a mistake," Vera said, breathing hard. Elara yanked her hand free. "Then stop acting like I am." Silence. Then Vera said, low and dangerous, "Say it again. Tell me you don't want this." Elara opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Vera laughed once, sharp and breathless. "That's what I thought." They kissed like they were running out of time. When they broke apart, Elara's voice shook. This was supposed to be temporary. Vera rested her forehead against Elara's. Yeah. They didn't pull away. Later that night, alone in their separate rooms, the truth finally caught up with both of them. Elara stared at the ceiling, heart aching in a way no plan could fix. Vera sat on her bed, phone in hand, thumb hovering over Elara's name. Temporary had rules. Whatever this was, didn't. And neither of them knew how to stop it anymore. Elara hadn't meant for it to spiral like this. Lately, her thoughts kept circling the same questions no matter how hard she tried to outrun them. Was Vera serious? Or was this just another game she was destined to lose? Was any of it real, or just something temporary Vera would eventually shrug off when it became inconvenient? And worst of all, was Vera worth risking everything Elara had worked for? Her grades, her team, her carefully controlled life. Elara stared at the open textbook in front of her without seeing a single word. "Hey." She blinked as someone slid into the chair beside her. Maya set her bag down gently, eyes warm with concern rather than curiosity. She'd been in Elara's program for months now. Quiet, thoughtful, observant in a way that made Elara feel seen without feeling exposed. "You okay?" Maya asked softly. "You seem like your head's been somewhere else these days." Elara hesitated, then shook her head. "I'm fine. Just tired." Maya smiled, not pushing. "Fair. Midterms are brutal." She glanced at Elara's notes. "You always look like you're carrying the weight of the room, you know." Elara huffed a small, surprised laugh. "That obvious?" "Only if someone's paying attention," Maya said easily. And she was. That was the problem. Maya asked questions that made Elara slow down and think. She listened, really listened, without interrupting, without challenging for the sake of it. She didn't tease or provoke or destabilize Elara's routines. She fit neatly into the life Elara had built. "You don't talk about yourself much," Maya said one afternoon, tone gentle. "But you're intense. In a good way. Focused. It's kind of impressive." Elara felt warmth creep into her cheeks before she could stop it. Across the room, Vera watched. She told herself it was nothing. She told herself Elara deserved someone calm, someone steady, someone who didn't complicate everything just by walking into the room. She told herself she didn't care. She lied. Vera told herself she was imagining it. The way Elara's shoulders eased when Maya sat beside her. The way she leaned in. Not much, barely noticeable, but enough that it set something sharp off in Vera's chest. It didn't mean anything. Elara leaned toward people when she listened. That was just how she was. Vera watched anyway. From across the room, she tracked every small thing she shouldn't have been paying attention to. The faint smile Elara didn't bother hiding. The way Mira angled her chair closer. The way Elara didn't move it away. Something hot and ugly twisted low in Vera's stomach. "You don't get to feel this," she told herself. "You agreed this was temporary." Maya laughed softly at something Elara said. Vera didn't hear the joke. She didn't need to. She knew that laugh, knew what it meant to earn it. Her jaw tightened. Of course Elara would gravitate towards someone like Maya, someone calm, someone safe, Someone who didn't shove her into walls or steal her glasses or pretend feelings were a game with rules you could rewrite. Someone who wouldn't hesitate. Vera's fingers curled into her palm. Good, she thought bitterly. That's what you wanted. An exit. So why did it feel like she was being replaced? She caught herself leaning forward, elbows on her knees, eyes fixed on the two of them, like if she stared hard enough, something would change. It didn't. Maya said something again. Elara flushed, just a little. That did it. Vera stood abruptly, chair scraping loud enough to earn a few glances. She didn't care. She grabbed her bag and left the room before the tightness in her chest turned into something worse. Outside, the air was cold, sharp, grounding. It didn't help. She deserves better, Vera told herself as she paced the quad. Someone who doesn't drag her into this mess. But the thought didn't bring relief. It brought panic. Because better didn't hurt like this. Because if Elara chose Maya, really chose her, Vera wouldn't even get to be angry. She wouldn't get to fight. She'd just lose. The idea hollowed her out. Later, alone in her room, Vera tried to distract herself. Music playing too loud, homework open but untouched. Her phone flipped face down beside her like it couldn't tempt her if she refused to look at it. It didn't work. The feeling sat heavy in her chest, unwelcome and persistent, tightening every time her thoughts drifted back to Elara leaning toward Maya, listening in that quiet way she rarely offered anyone else. Before she could talk herself out of it, Vera grabbed her phone and typed. You busy? The message sent before she could reconsider. 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Studying, staying behind with Maya. Vera stared at the screen. Something sharp twisted in her stomach. Her thumbs moved faster than her better judgment. Oh, so that's how it is. She regretted it the second it sent, but not enough to delete it. No reply came right away. Silence stretched, feeding every worst assumption her mind could invent. Of course Elara chose Maya. The jealousy hit hard and fast, spiraling into something ugly she barely recognized in herself. She tossed her phone onto the bed, pacing instead, jaw tight. You don't get to care this much, she told herself, but the feeling refused to listen. By the time night fell, the spiral had sharpened into resolve. If Elara was moving on, then so would she. If this was temporary, then she'd prove it. Vera grabbed her jacket and headed for the party she'd sworn she didn't care about. She told herself she just wanted distraction. She told herself she was done waiting. She told herself this would make it stop hurting. She lied. Again. The party was already loud when Vera arrived. Music spilled out through the open front door, bass thumping softly beneath layers of conversation and laughter. The house buzzed with movement. People crowded into the living room, voices overlapping, the air warm with the smell of cheap drinks, and too many bodies packed into one space. She didn't hesitate at the door, didn't give herself time to. She stepped inside like she belonged there, like this was still her territory, like nothing had shifted under her feet in the last few weeks. Someone shouted her name from across the room. Hands clapped her on the shoulder. A drink appeared in her hand before she even registered asking for one. Muscle memory took over. She lifted the cup, smiled easily, played the role everyone knew, the confident captain, the girl who never stayed serious for long. The smile settled onto her face. But it felt wrong, too sharp, too hollow, like it belonged to someone she'd already outgrown. She drank anyway. Across campus, the study room was almost silent. The kind of silence that pressed in rather than comforted. Elara sat surrounded by neatly stacked notes and open textbooks, her pen hovering uselessly above the page. Maya sat across from her, patient and focused, gently nudging papers into better order. They'd been at this for over an hour. Elara kept glancing at the clock, not because she needed to leave, because she didn't know whether she wanted to. Irritation and guilt tangled tight in her chest, emotions she refused to examine too closely. You're allowed to be here, she told herself firmly. You're allowed to choose something easy, something safe. Maya noticed the distraction almost immediately. Hey, she said softly, breaking the quiet. If you want to head out, we can pick this up tomorrow. You look like your thoughts are somewhere else. Elara shook her head too quickly, the movement betraying her. No, sorry. I'm fine. Just tired. Maya's smile was gentle, unbothered. You don't have to apologize for that. The kindness in her voice, unconditional, uncomplicated, made Elara's chest ache in a way she hadn't expected. Vera downed her drink too fast. The burn barely registered. Someone brushed past her shoulder, laughing, leaning close to say something she didn't catch over the music. Normally, she would have leaned right back in, let the familiarity take over, flirted without thought or consequence. Tonight, her mind betrayed her. She thought of Elara instead, of the way Elara leaned toward Maya, just slightly, of how she hadn't pulled away. A sharp, unwelcome jealousy flared hot in Vera's chest. Temporary, she reminded herself harshly. You agreed this was temporary. Dance with me, the girl beside her said, pretty, familiar, easy in the way that used to be enough. Vera hesitated for half a heartbeat. Then she nodded. Sure. Because stopping, really stopping, felt worse. The girl's hands slid around her waist, warm and confident. Vera let them stay, let herself be pulled closer, letting the press of bodies and noise swallow thought. She tilted her head. Let the moment happen. This is fine, she told herself desperately. This is what moving on looks like. But just before their lips could meet, something in her chest recoiled. Vera pulled back abruptly, breath catching as clarity cut through the haze of music and distraction. The realization landed all at once, sharp and undeniable. If she crossed that line, there would be no undoing it. No pretending it hadn't meant something. No going back to whatever fragile, unfinished thing still existed between her and Elara. It felt like betrayal. And the worst part was knowing she'd come here fully prepared to do it anyway. She stepped away, running a hand through her hair, heart pounding too hard for someone who had supposedly decided to move on. Someone nearby lifted a phone, the screen glowing bright as they recorded a clip, laughing, shouting, documenting the night. Vera didn't notice. She was too busy pretending the tightness in her chest was excitement and not loss. Too busy convincing herself she'd stopped in time to realize that from the outside, it already looked like she hadn't. Too late. Elara packed her bag when they finally finished studying. She moved slowly, deliberately, as if stretching the moment without understanding why. Maya mirrored her pace, slipping her own books away with quiet care. They left the building together, cool night air meeting them as they stepped onto the quad. Campus lights glowed softly against the dark, paths nearly empty this late, the distant hum of conversation drifting from dorm windows. Their footsteps fell into an easy rhythm as they walked toward the residence halls. You know, Maya said after a while, voice careful and sincere. If you ever want to talk about what's going on in your head, I'm a good listener. Elara froze mid-step. The offer wasn't loaded. It wasn't flirtatious. It didn't demand anything. That made it harder. Elara started, then stopped herself. She forced a small, controlled smile. Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. Maya nodded, accepting the boundary without resentment. They reached the split in the path near the dorm entrances. Good night, Elara. Good night. Maya turned and headed toward her building, unhurried, leaving Elara standing beneath the soft glow of a lamppost for a moment longer than necessary. Across campus, Vera stumbled along the sidewalk, jacket slung over one shoulder, the night air doing little to clear her head. She felt like an idiot. The party still rang in her ears, the noise, the laughter, the version of herself she'd tried to step back into and failed to recognize. Every decision replayed on a cruel loop. What were you thinking? She dragged a hand over her face, exhaling sharply, then stopped. Ahead of her, across the quad, she spotted two familiar figures beneath the lights, Elara and Maya. They stood close, talking quietly, the scene painfully calm. Easy. Comfortable in a way Vera suddenly realized she had never managed to be. Her chest tightened. They said their goodbyes, Maya turning away with a soft smile while Elara lingered. A sharp thought cut through the fog in Vera's mind. If you don't do something now, you're going to lose her. Panic surged, sudden and overwhelming. She stepped forward. Elara got the message by accident. She wasn't looking for it. She was half distracted. Thumb scrolling through notifications she barely registered as she started toward the dorm entrance. Then a story loaded on her screen. A shared post. Bright lights. Music she could almost hear through the image. And there, unmistakable even through motion blur, was Vera. Too close to someone else. A stranger's hand at her waist. Vera's mouth angled toward their ear, her smile sharp and careless in the way it only ever was when she wanted to look untouchable. Elara stopped walking. The world tilted slightly, sound draining away until only a dull hum filled her ears. So that's what this was, she thought distantly. A joke, a phase, something she could shrug off in a night. Her chest tightened, not with anger, but something colder, something final. Her fingers trembled as she locked her phone, pressing the screen dark like it could erase what she'd seen. She didn't cry. That almost made it worse. "Finch!" Vera's voice cut across the quad. Elara's shoulders stiffened. She didn't turn. She kept walking. "Elara, wait." The sound of hurried footsteps followed as Vera closed the distance, determination overriding hesitation. Elara reached the dorm entrance, pushing the door open. Vera caught it before it could swing shut. "Can you just stop for a second?" Elara turned then, expression controlled but distant in a way Vera had never seen before. "What?" she asked quietly. The single word knocked every prepared thought out of Vera's head. The confession came out wrong immediately, messy, unfiltered. Vera opened her mouth, closed it again, then let out a quiet breath like she was bracing herself. "I don't know how to say this without ruining it," she admitted. "So I'm just going to say it." Elara didn't move. Vera swallowed, hands restless at her sides, every ounce of her usual confidence stripped away. "Please don't choose her," she said softly. "I can't keep pretending this is temporary. I tried. I really tried to treat it like it didn't matter, like it was just fun or competition or whatever excuse made it easier." Her eyes lifted, meeting Elara's fully. No teasing, no arrogance, no mask, just honesty. "I'm in love with you," Vera said. Not loud, not careful, just real. "And I don't know how to be good at that yet." The words hung between them, fragile and irreversible. Vera exhaled shakily but didn't look away. "I know I've been awful to you," she continued. "At the start, hell, even after, we fought and I pushed, and half the time I didn't even understand why I cared so much. I just knew when you looked at me like I didn't impress you. It mattered more than anything else." Her voice softened, almost uncertain. "You're steady," she said quietly. "You know who you are. You work harder than anyone I've ever met, and you never pretend to be something you're not. You make everything around you feel real, safe. And I think I spent so long trying to get a reaction out of you because you were the first person who ever made me want to be better instead of just admired." She hesitated, the admission clearly costing her. "I know you deserve better than how I've treated you," she added, honesty rough around the edges. "Probably better than me if I'm being honest." A small breath left her. "But I don't want to mess this up anymore. I don't want to hurt you again. I just..." She shook her head slightly, searching for words she wasn't used to saying. "I want a chance to do this right. With you." Silence followed. Elara stared at her, expression unreadable. For a moment, Vera almost believed she'd said the right thing. Then Elara slowly lifted her phone. The screen glowed between them. A paused story post, bright lights, a crowded party. A stranger's hand wrapped around Vera's waist. Vera leaning close, smiling like nothing in the world could touch her. Elara's voice was quiet when she spoke. "Does this look like love to you?" Vera's gut dropped. The weight of it hit all at once. How it looked, how it must have felt, how badly she'd misjudged everything. And for the first time since Elara Finch had known her, Vera Blackwood looked completely, devastatingly unsure of herself. Hey guys, if you're loving the story so far, don't forget to like and leave a comment. Let me know what you think so far. And hit that subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss out on what we have in store for the next part. Your support really helps the channel out, so thank you.